Hey everyone, welcome back to another video on homeschooling the herd. Today I wanted to talk with you a little bit about how I am teaching my two younger boys to read this year. I have used all sorts of reading curriculum in the past. If you are unfamiliar with my homeschool story, I talk about it a little bit in this video on one of these sides. But I have a few kids who struggle with dyslexia, and reading has been a challenge for them. I have a few that have learned to read really easily. I have one who has, I feel like, taught herself to read. I did not hardly do any instruction for her, and she just picked it up probably from listening to me teach all of her older siblings. But my boys have all tended to have a bit of a struggle with reading, as well as, really actually the girls haven't struggled as much, but the boys have, and I think part of that has to do with dyslexia for my older boys especially, but my younger boys I think is because they are busy and they want to be busy doing things, and sitting down to read is not their idea of fun. So this year I began with my younger guys, especially this guy. He is in first grade this year. My other little guy is 10 and he is in third grade, and he has had a real hard time with learning to read. He still struggles quite a bit. He had a really hard time learning his letters, the names of the letters, the sounds that the letters make, and it took several years. Now this will be the 4th year of teaching him to read, so several years of just being consistent, going through the phonics over and over and over. So I started with probably with Foundations Phonics for him. We went through part of that, decided to switch it up and went to Christian Light Education's Learning to Read. That did pretty good for him actually, and what I think helped the most was just being consistent. And then from there, last year, we started doing Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. Now, I have used this book with my older kids, and they are bored to death with it. But for some reason, he really enjoyed it, and it was very helpful for him. So the Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons was really helpful for him. But he doesn't read on his own. He doesn't think it's fun. He would much rather be playing or shooting something with his BB gun or jumping on the trampoline, playing basketball, running around, playing tag, anything active. So he doesn't read on his own time when he is bored or with nothing to do. So the reading lesson he gets during the day is pretty much what he gets. So that was helpful. Teach Your Child to Read 100 Easy Lessons really got him going. But over the summer, he of course was not reading hardly at all and has taken a break from that, and he's having a bit of difficulty getting back into the rhythm. So instead of getting frustrated, I'm trying to stay patient, and we're just starting back at the beginning again. And this year we are using Phonics Pathways. I have seen this book a long time ago, probably at least 10 years ago. I had a friend who was using it, and then recently I had another friend tell me that she was using it this year for her son who also struggles with dyslexia, just as some real good, solid practice of reading words. So I decided to give this a try with my 10-year-old, and he didn't start at the beginning. It's much too simple for him at the beginning, but what he's doing is just practicing reading these CVC words and sounding them out, getting quicker at blending the sounds, and then we are using these words for spelling words.
I'm using them too.
Yes, you're using this book too, and
because I did have another one, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, I will tell them how you're using this in just a little bit. So for my 10-year-old, what he does is the first day I let him take this book and he will go through the steps here reading to me. He usually skips this first one and just goes straight to the second step. He'll say wag, and he's very quick at it. He's getting really fast. He also has figured out the pattern of A-E-I-O-U, and so he's getting pretty quick at sounding out these words and reading through them. So the first day he will do every list on the page. We just try to do 1 page a day. He'll read through every single list. The second day I will have him read me the words again, and then he has to take his notebook and he copies the words into his notebook. And then on the third day, he will read the words to me again. and then I will say the word to him. He'll cover it up in his notebook, and then he has to spell the word without looking. So this just has been really good for him, just getting lots of good practice, getting faster at blending these sounds together, getting more familiar with the sounds that each of the letters makes. And also when I have him spell the word, so if wag is the word we're using, I will say wag. A dog will wag his tail when he's happy. I try to use it in a sentence. He will write the word down, and then I have him tell me how he spelled the word. That helps him to recognize the name of the letter and the sound of the letter, and then he has to tell that back to me. So I have started, when I tell him the words, I don't do it in order, because otherwise he's figured out the order of the A-E-I-O-U, so he'll just write out the first letter and then the A-E-I-O-U, and then I'll write the next letter, and then he's not really spelling the entire word, he's just doing one letter at a time. So instead of doing that, I'll do them out of order, so he has to really think about it. He doesn't like that very much when I do it, but that is more helpful for him. Makes his brain work a little bit more. So that's how I'm using this book so far with my 3rd grader, my 10-year-old. We will just continue working all the way through this book, one page at a time. It really reviews a lot. It teaches a lot of phonics rules. It goes through all of the phonics rules, and I think this will be great for him. And we're just taking it slow, one page at a time until he gets it. I know that one of these days reading will click for him and he will take off, but today's not that day. And so we're just gonna keep on pushing through. Now, for my little guy who's in 1st grade, he knows all his letters, he knows the sounds. He has watched the letter alphabet from Leapfrog a bazillion times. They all have, actually, and he has remembered his sounds and letter names from that movie, from that video. So if you are looking for something a little more visual or visual or audible for your kids to watch and listen to, The Letter Factory from Leapfrog is a great little show that you can show them, have them just watch it on repeat. It helps them to learn the sounds and letter names of the letters. So he has done that a lot, so he knows all of the names of the letters, all of their sounds. And then he started using Foundation Phonics from Masterbooks. I have used that for a few of my girls, taught them to read using it. It worked great. But my boys don't enjoy it as much, and I think it's because there's too much fluff added in there. It has stories in each lesson, and the boys don't like to sit through that. They just want to get the lesson done and move on. So I decided to switch to this for my 1st grader, since I am using it already with my 3rd grader. And what I have for him is he is just fresh learning to read. So besides knowing the names and the sounds, he does not, he's getting a lot better, but he was struggling with even blending 2 letters together, blending the sounds together. So we are starting from the beginning. At the beginning of this book, they have all the vowels, A, E, I, O, U. There's a spread for each of them to help the kids learn those. And then it gets into individual letters with each vowel. So he's been on the N page, and we do each step. We say ah, then we say n, ah, and then we say na. And he'll point to the pictures on the page and tell me the names of them, because they usually begin with the letter at the top of the page. And so he works his way through those, and then we read these sounds at the bottom. I made him this little paper with a hole cut out of it, because that way it helps him to focus on one section at a time. Otherwise he gets distracted by the rest of what is on the page. So we just use this for our bookmarker, and we have it every day, and we do ah, and then we do n, ah, and then we do na. So we work through each one that way. And then once he is done with the page, again, we're just doing one page a day, and we tend to stick with the same page for several days until he's getting really good at blending those sounds together. So then I will take those words that those sounds that he's been practicing blending, and we do this every day. He has this sheet, which I made a copy of. You have permission to do that out of the back of the book. And I've got it in this little protector thing so that you can just reuse it over and over with the dry erase marker. I'll have a link for these in the book down in the description if you're interested. But I will just tell him. So I'll say the first sound is na, and then he has to think through, okay, n, ah, which vowel says ah, it's the A, and then he'll write it in this first box. So we work our way through each vowel sound, and he writes them down on here. And then I will, now that we've moved on a few lessons, I'll go back a couple lessons and say, like, okay, the next one is si. So then he'll have to think, okay, I is a I, and it starts with the S sound instead of the N sound, and so then he'll write that on there. And then I'll have him tell me what letters he's writing. So it's a bit of spelling practice, a bit of him having to think through the sounds, and then he will write those on this paper. But we just use, he likes to trade a new color of dry erase marker every week. Every time we have a new page, he wants a new color of dry erase marker. So we have some that we just rotate through, and then we erase it at the end of the day, and it goes in his box until we use it the next day. This so far has been working really well. It is really simple. Very simple, not a lot of extra fluff, not overcomplicated. And really that is what teaching to read is. You can do things with, sometimes I will get out my little letter tiles for Clayton, and he will do things with letter tiles. I could probably do that with Kendon, and it would be really helpful also with my 3rd grader, and that would be helpful. That's just some tactile learning, but you don't have to do a ton of different things every day. You can just be consistent with a couple things, and your kids will learn fairly easily because they are so smart, and at a young age they just soak it all in. So if you've got a child who is really struggling to read, my encouragement is just to keep going and be consistent, and don't be afraid to change it up. Don't be afraid to try something new. If they really enjoy writing on the dry erase board, let them do their spelling words on the dry erase board. If they want to lay them out in letter tiles, get yourself some letter tiles. Let them lay it out in letter tiles. Use the magnetic letters on the refrigerator. You can have them write things. You could have them spell things, make the letters with Play-Doh. There are so many options of ways to beef up a program like this that is just a simple book that will help the kids to understand it better. Just wanted to share with you how I am teaching my boys to read this year. I hope that that was helpful and informative. And if you have any other questions or comments, please leave them down below. I would love to hear them and answer any questions you have. But I will see you on the next video. Have a great day. Bye.